Can Mike Pence halt the counting of the electors for a 10-day investigation? Yes or no?
No.
You're incorrect, and you're
No,
lying.
you are incorrect. What
Okay,
gives him the illegal
so
wait, what gives him the illegal authority to do that?
well, you know the law so well.
I do. That's
You
why I know it's
you
not in there.
you know
So I
no
want to
you
know
know
what
no
gives
no
him the
no hold
legal
on.
authority to do it. If you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Rinyald. And if you disagree with anything in the video, make sure you join the Discord and we can have a chat sometime. Okay, Hoodlum, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
You know, getting worse for every guest that comes up here.
What?
I know. It's just
Why?
it's
Why
all
is
brain
that?
rot. It's all brain rot. It's so sad. Can't actually talk about any of the issues. Just give me narratives.
So let me ask you first. Well, first, let me just establish I'm over 18. I'm from California.
Good.
I
Good.
voted for Donald Trump.
I think we've chatted before, but maybe not.
Okay. So do you think that you have bias?
I think everybody has bias.
Okay, I do as well. So knowing that we have bias, right?
Hmm.
For us to engage in conversation, it's with that knowledge in hand. Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So when we have a situation like CV and certain states decided to usurp the legislative
Hmm.
body to change election laws and protocols, right?
Hmm.
Do you think that that is a do you think that's a deviation of what would be considered lawful?
It would depend on the authority that you're given in a state of emergency. I don't know.
Mm. Right. So again, like in many of these cases, the governors had changed the laws without the legislative participation,
Did
which
they
would
change the
usurp.
laws, or did they just change the procedure for one election?
Well, I would say both.
Okay, because it's not. Do you
Mhm.
acknowledge that like you would also have to make special considerations when you're in a global pandemic,
Um,
or
I
no?
would
You don't think
say
so?
I would prefer that they went through the process, even though it's hard, right? It would be
Okay.
an effort by the legislative body
Were
to come together, but they were also remote voting. Voting.
were any of
So,
these actions
mhm,
ruled illegal or deemed illegal?
yes, actually, in court cases following the election, it was found that many of these changes were done unlawfully. Correct.
Can you give me a case?
I think Georgia is one of them. I think that Arizona
Well,
would
like
be another one.
the name of a case.
California
Can you
would
give me
be
like
the
a
third.
where I could find any of this being deemed illegal? Because it's my
I
impression that a lot of it was challenged during the 2020 election, and all of them were shot down.
Sure. So we have to also hopefully agree that when you have an election in November and then a inauguration in January,
Hmm.
it's a very short amount of time. Correct?
No, not
A couple
really.
of months.
Not really.
It's like okay. So do you think that the court systems work that fast?
It depends.
Because Hillary Clinton, she's a lawyer,
Hmm.
and Hillary Clinton also put up illegal um, cases against the 2016
Yeah.
election, right?
Hmm.
And even her own words said that there is no way to legally oppose U.S. election results because of two things. First, being the states being
Hmm.
able to run their own election,
Hmm.
so there would be
Which is
lack of
probably a good
standing.
thing. Yeah.
Mhm. And then the second would be the time. There's not enough time to get
Okay.
your
I
cases
disagree with Hillary
forward.
Clinton. I mean, clearly there was enough time. There was 62 lawsuits that litigated it before the election.
Are you referring to Trump? Or are
Yeah.
you referring to Hillary?
Yeah, Trump. There were 62 lawsuits that litigated the election before January 6th, right?
Do you know how many Hillary had?
the amount Hillary had was irrelevant. Is irrelevant. I'm saying if there were
Why?
62 accurately filed lawsuits, it seems like there was plenty enough time.
Mhm. So let me just I'm curious, right? Like maybe
Hmm.
this is where some of the bias comes into play. Like why would Hillary's cases be irrelevant but Trump's would?
Because my problem isn't filing the cases, but you're pushing back against the idea that he had enough time to challenge the election. And I say he has 62 lawsuits. Obviously, he had enough time.
Mhm. So a lot of those cases weren't heard. There was no discovery. There was no evidentiary findings
Right, because they couldn't
because
prove standing. Yeah.
right, right. So again, like it very hard to mount a legal opposition to results, right?
Sure, but I asked you if any of these laws were found illegal, and you said yes.
Huh?
And I said, can
Yeah.
you point me to a case? Because it's my impression that all of the cases trying to sue for procedure got shot down, and
Mhm.
that's where this uh, that's where this conversation has led. I'm
Sure.
just asking
So
for any
so
evidence that this was actually ruled
yeah. So
illegal.
you could go on Google and you could use a search query as did states violate their own constitution by working around their
I need
legislative
like names.
assemblies?
I need like names of cases. I don't
Okay,
need
so
like
here's the
narratives.
thing. You're right. So here's the thing about like your evidence, right? Like you want me to do all of the work for you, and this is
Well,
America.
I've
Like,
read a lot
mhm,
about this situation. There's no
mhm,
I've seen nothing. So it's not all of the work. I just want you to provide any piece of substantiation at all.
mhm,
That's it.
mhm.
That's the bar I'm asking you to meet.
So you don't know. I mean, I thought it was pretty common knowledge that these states had violated their constitutions by usurping
Yes,
the
because that's
assemblies
the
that were.
narrative that you get fed, and I don't disagree that
No,
that's the
no,
narrative that
sir,
you get fed.
no,
But
sir.
no, I
Okay,
haven't seen.
so
So it should if this is common knowledge, it should be easy to provide a case in which that was found.
sir, they were doing remote voting. The assemblies were doing remote voting, right?
Okay.
But yet they use CV as an excuse not to remote vote on these things and just hammered it through with executive order through the governors.
Okay,
So
I'm
again,
asking you, can you
mhm.
give me a case that found that was illegal? Because it's
Okay,
my
so
impression that we give pretty wide deference to executives in times of national
mhm.
emergency.
Okay, so do you think that national emergency would usurp the voice of the people?
National emergency would usurp the voice of the people. It depends on what the context is.
No, actually, I think that
Well, like
we still.
what situation would that happen? Like, are you saying that the executive could just stop holding elections because of national emergency? I'd say probably not.
Well, it would be the same thing.
No, it wouldn't be the same thing.
Well, if you're going to usurp laws to protect that we have to protect the election integrity
Hmm.
because of an emergency, then why would you not just not have an election for the same excuse?
It should be very easy for you to, because I don't know the particular details. I'm saying if this was illegal, you could probably provide me a case. Because a lot of times these laws have specific carve outs for times of emergency.
Mm,
So I would like to
I
ask,
see.
do you have any case that this was litigated to be illegal?
Well, here's the thing. I could go and teacup, right? And I
Hmm.
can find you a case
Hmm.
and a scenario, but you already know I can do that. So I don't know why we're playing this
I don't
semantics.
think you can do that. That's the point. Is that I'm not aware of any cases. I've looked into
Mhm,
this fairly extensively. Um, I'm not aware
mhm,
of any cases, let alone any case that actually would have a bearing on the
mhm.
final election count or where the electors were allocated.
I see. Okay. Well, I mean, I personally think that that might be some of your bias coming through, but
Well,
nevertheless, I
also,
mean,
I mean, can I say that it's some
mhm.
of your bias to say that the election was stolen, even though no court litigated that and none of the state
I
investigators found
well,
it
wait
and
a
the
minute,
DOJ
wait a
didn't
minute,
find it and the DHS didn't
wait a
find it,
minute.
and the only person that really found it was Donald Trump and his hack lawyers?
Well, wait a minute here. You're putting positive statements that I never made forward. I never said that anything was stolen. I never said that anything
Okay, do you
was.
believe that the election was stolen?
I think that there were changes made to the laws
Mm-hmm.
on how states run their election
Mm-hmm.
that would give a higher probability of people being able to do nefarious things.
Was there any evidence of anybody doing nefarious things?
Yes.
Okay. At a scale that would affect the result of the election?
Yeah. In some swing states, I would think that when Joe Biden won by less than 3,000 votes, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Okay, so what
100%.
what's the evidence that there was outcome determinative fraud?
Well, I think that the voter rolls is a huge factor in that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the fact that the Republican Party worked so hard to clean up the voter rolls across America, removing in some cases two, 300,000 people
Mm-hmm.
from the voter rolls for various reasons, like, oh, I don't know, they live in a different state,
Mm-hmm.
they're deceased, they're not citizens. Here, again, like this is
Wait,
like very well
how
known.
does that prove anything?
Well, again, when you have a system that was going to be sending out mail-in ballots for people that only requested
Uh-huh.
that, to then mailing out mail-in ballots to everyone on the voter
This
rolls.
is the
That's
problem
a
is that
big.
you're just giving
No,
me
no.
narratives. Is there any evidence of fraudulent ballots cast?
Did you hear me?
I
What
heard you.
I just
That doesn't
said.
prove
I just
anything.
said. Oh, well, wait a minute. If we found that there's hundreds and thousands of people on these voter rolls
Mm-hmm.
that are invalidated with verification, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we would assume in a very safe manner
Mm-hmm.
with high probability that these individuals that were on the voter rolls in 2020 that they received a mail-in ballot. Now the
No.
question is
So the problem there's
okay,
two
go ahead.
problems with what you said. The first of which
Mhm.
you brought up people living in different states. You can have sort of like a dual citizenship between states whenever you're off to college or you're off like with military service. So that's an example of why somebody would be registered in a different state but also on the voter rolls in a particular state. So that doesn't necessarily prove fraud. A lot of the claims of, dead people on the voter rolls or, people who aren't registered or illegals on the voter roll were immediately contradicted by all of the or all of the state investigators that ended up fact checking the Trump campaign's claims on it, found that they were bullshit. I think the one case, like Giuliani claimed that there was a couple thousand dead people on Georgia's voter rolls, and then the Georgia state investigators said there was like two. So that doesn't prove outcome determinative. And also, sending mail in ballots to every person on the voter roll doesn't prove that those ballots were actually cast. Do you have any evidence that fraudulent ballots were cast in that election?
Yeah, so I think that the fact of the matter where the Republicans were forcing the states to audit and remove people from the voter rolls in the hundreds of thousands, it completely
So you see,
invalidates
that's not an
your
that
attempt
means
to
that the answer
unvalidate
is
it.
no. That means that the answer is no. There's no evidence of fraudulent ballots being cast. That's why. And also, I don't know why you pretended like my
Mhm.
characterization of you thinking that the election was stolen
Mhm.
was wrong, because you do think the election was
Mhm.
stolen. So there isn't
No,
any
no,
evidence, and you
no,
do
sir.
believe it, and I characterized you
So,
exactly correctly.
so what is the definition of stolen?
Means that you what in what context? Like in this context, a stolen election would mean that one party was corroborating to influence the outcome of the election in a dishonest way.
No, that's not the definition of stolen.
Okay. Contextually, that's how people would use stolen to describe an election.
So I would argue that the claims that I'm making is that processes and procedures were put in place to increase the likelihood of manipulation of the vote.
Yeah, and
That would
I
be
don't think
my
you've
that would be
substantiated
my
that. That's what I'm
assertion.
saying. I don't think you've substantiated that.
Yeah, and here's the thing. So I've already moved on because it doesn't really matter. Like
It
it is
incredibly
what it
matters,
is.
actually. Donald Trump is talking about
Mhm.
prosecuting people like Jack Smith. Okay, Donald Trump is right now trying to disallow mail-in ballots based off of the 2020 election. Like, this absolutely still does matter. Okay, Donald Trump is directing the DOJ to look into people that collaborated with Jack Smith, who charged him on the grounds of this. Like, this is absolutely important. I don't know why we're trying to distance ourselves from the election that was just the just before the last one. That's an incredibly important thing, especially when all of this, by the way, you've very conveniently bitten on the hook that the Trump administration let out to you. Donald Trump was using all of these bullshit claims of election fraud to steal the election himself, and I don't understand like how these narratives haven't corrupted yet. Like, do
So
you
so
acknowledge that Donald Trump, like, whatever process violation you're alleging, Donald
let,
Trump doubled by trying to ask the vice president to ignore the Electoral Count Act, right?
So okay. Now we're moving into phase two, apparently. So let me ask you,
Mm-hmm.
is was that the first time that alternate electors
Nope.
had ever been presented?
Nope.
Okay. And what's the requirement for the House of Representatives to object to the votes that the states submit to
Prior to
the
2020,
Congress?
prior to 2022, you had to have a written objection by one senator and one House member, I think.
Okay, and did they have that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Did
So,
that happen?
do you
Oh,
acknowledge that
wait a
that's
minute.
not the claim that I'm making? I'm not saying that objecting to the electors was the inappropriate thing. I'm saying that the inappropriate thing was Donald Trump asking the vice president to break the Electoral Count Act to avoid diverging onto Congress and instead
No,
do
no,
it
no,
unilaterally.
no, no. This is the problem with your bias. See,
No,
you
that's
don't
not bias.
also
That's
recognize
exactly what
it.
happened. Do you
No, it.
reject any characterization I just gave?
Oh, absolutely.
On what
Um,
grounds?
it, there was enough public outrage on the results of the election to
To
prompt
to break the Electoral Count
Mike.
Act?
No, no, no. Listen, you asked me a question. You got to give me a chance to respond.
Well, I want to make sure that
Okay.
you're not pivoting off to a different claim that I'm not
No.
making. I'm saying that Donald Trump
Okay,
asked the vice president to
sir.
break the
Sir,
Electoral Count Act. Popular support would have no bearing on that.
actually, you're wrong. And if you would just let people speak, then you would realize that. See,
Okay,
you're
so please
jumping the
explain to
gun.
me why it would be appropriate to break federal law because the people want you to.
Okay, so your assertion that he'd be breaking federal law
Hmm.
is a false, and
Okay,
you're lying.
how is that false?
There's processes
Hmm.
and decorum
Hmm.
in Congress on how to deal with these things. We
Yes.
actually have a
Donald Trump was
process,
asking them to avoid it. Donald
sir,
Trump was
sir,
asking
sir.
to not diverge onto Congress to do the objection process.
Sir, listen.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. Okay. When a senator signs on to the disagreement, then they go into what's
Yes, I
called
know how
a
the
debate,
electoral. You're explaining to me how
oral
the
debate.
hoodlum.
Okay.
You're explaining to me
Now,
how the
hold on.
Electoral Count
See,
Act works. I understand how the Electoral Count Act works. Donald
okay,
Trump
and
was
so if
asking Mike Pence to ignore it. That's what I'm
so,
saying.
stop.
You're explaining the
You're
law when he was
you're
asking Mike
being
Pence to
very
break the law.
okay. Can Mike Pence halt the counting of the electors for a 10-day investigation? Yes or no?
No,
You're incorrect and you're
no,
lying.
you are incorrect. What
Okay,
gives him the illegal?
so
Wait, what gives him the illegal authority to do that?
well, you know the law so well.
I do. That's
You
why I know it's
you
not in there. So
you
I
know
want to
you
know
know
what
no
gives
no
him the
no. Hold
legal
on.
authority to do it.
You know the law as it is today, but it
Yes.
wasn't that same way. It was not that same way in 2020.
I know the
That's the
Electoral
problem.
Count Act prior to 2022 as well. Yes, I know.
Okay. And here again, it's oral arguments on the floor, and then if
Yes.
the oral
Hoodlum.
arguments would represent them going into a closed chamber
Hoodlum.
arguments, then they would. And that's
You are
exactly what they
characterizing
did.
the law to
No,
me
no.
when he was
Yeah.
asking Mike Pence to
No.
break that law.
No.
That's what I'm
No, sir.
saying. In the
Do you
Eastman
know?
memo, are you familiar with John
Oh,
Eastman?
very much so, yeah.
Okay, do you acknowledge that John Eastman was asking Mike Pence to make the decision unilaterally before the House had the opportunity to convene on it?
No, I'm not talking about what
Do you
people ask
acknowledge?
for.
Do you
I'm
acknowledge
talking
that
about
that
what
happened? Do you
No,
acknowledge that
listen,
that is what
listen.
happened? That Mike Pence
Okay,
was asked
you're
by Donald
trying.
Trump and John Eastman to do that. Do you acknowledge that?
You're trying to derail
That's
the
not a
facts.
derail. I'm saying what Donald Trump asked Mike Pence to do. Your president, the person that you voted for, he asked Mike Pence to break that law, correct?
No,
Okay. Have you read the Eastman memo?
you're
Have
derailing
you read the Eastman
facts.
memo?
I'm talking about facts. You're talking
I'm
about
talking about
conjecture.
facts too. You're
No,
just
no,
not
no, no,
engaging
no.
with it.
No, no. I'm talking about what happened, and you're talking about
Yeah,
what
and what
somebody
happened?
asked somebody
What
to do.
happened is that John Eastman and
That's
Donald
not the
Trump
same.
asked Mike Pence to do that. Yes, that is what
Okay.
happened
And why did John do that?
because they wanted to steal the
Because
election.
no, no, no. It's an interpretation of an adverb verb
No,
world that is law,
nope.
which is up for
They
interpretation.
asked him to
Correct?
break the
No,
Electoral
no,
Count
no.
Act.
Yes or no?
Hoodlum.
Yes or no?
No,
Why?
no,
Why
that
do?
was it wasn't an
Okay.
interpretation. He asked him to
Why do
break
we
the
have?
Electoral
Okay.
Count Act.
Does the laws get interpreted? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. That's why we have the Supreme Court, right?
Uh-huh. Okay,
Okay.
Hoodlum. Is it an
So
interpretation of a murder statute to say I could murder you? Is that an interpretation of a murder statute?
no, not at all.
Okay, I agree. Is it an interpretation of the Electoral Count Act to say I can break the Electoral Count Act?
That would not be the opinion of counsel that the president got, and
That
what
would be the
John's
opinion.
perspective
Yes, that
was.
was that
No,
was John's
it's much more
opinion.
complicated.
He
It's much
asked
more complicated than 187, and you know that.
Okay, this is a quote from John Eastman. I implore you to consider one more relatively minor violation of the ECA and adjourn for 10 days to allow the legislators to finish their investigations. Now,
There you go.
can you tell me what a minor violation of a law is? Is
That's
that
not a
breaking
minor
the law?
violation.
He literally
That's well-
said, I implore you to consider one more relatively minor violation of the ECA. What does that mean? Does that mean
Okay,
adhering
so-
to the ECA or does that mean breaking the ECA?
So talk to me
Can you
about.
answer that question?
It's not breaking any law.
Okay, minor violation of a law doesn't mean breaking the
It's
law.
not a violation of the law.
He
sir.
literally
It's
said
what-
minor violation. I'm quoting you verbatim what John Eastman told Greg Jacob.
So let me ask you: are you familiar?
Not
with
not without answering the question. Can you acknowledge that that is a violation of the law if he's asking him to
No.
do a violation
No,
of
it's
the
not a
law?
No,
Okay,
it's not
you're
a
just
violation of the law.
actually delusional then. You're delusional. Mike Pence,
Again, this
Mike
is
Pence's
bias
legal counsel
on-
was
bias
written
on full
by
display.
No, this isn't bias. This is actually your bias,
Bias.
denying the exact
Bias
verbatim
on full
language
display.
of Eastman.
Bias.
Eastman, quote, one more relatively minor violation of the ECA. That is a verbatim quote from John Eastman. And you're saying that he
So let-
didn't want to violate the law.
Let me ask you a question.
No, not without
okay?
answering that question. You
I've
have to
already
concede
answered-
before
I've
before this
already
before this
answered-
conversation
I've
goes
already
on.
answered your question 3 times.
Before this
I've answered
conversation
your question 3 times.
before this conversation moves on, you have to
I've
admit
already
that
answered it 3 times.
before this conversation moves
See,
on, you have to admit that
dogmatic
violation means
position-
violation. I'm sorry.
It's
I'm not going to
a
let you.
violation, sir.
Okay, when he says minor violation, that's not a violation?
Oh, bring up your evidence of that was the case.
Okay, let's do it.
Because what you're
Eastman
doing is lying.
Email. Okay, I will quote you on that, okay? If you think I'm lying and I show you this email and it says opposite, I need an apology, okay? Or else you're going to get kicked.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, whenever you make a claim of me, I need you to actually stand on it and not just throw shit out like a fucking idiot. Yeah.
You know what's really weird is like your narcissistic smile when you said that. It's kind of weird.
You know what else is weird? Saying that a minor violation isn't a minor violation. I think that's much more
So do you-
weird than
do you think
smiling
the federal-
whenever somebody
hold on.
just comes up here and lies.
Do you think that the federal government has an obligation to the people to investigate the potentiality of fraud in an election?
Yep.
Do they have a responsibility to do so?
Depends what body you're talking about.
Well, it would be disenfranchising the voters if they didn't do an investigation. Would it not?
It depends on what body you're talking about. Like the state investigators did investigate. The DOJ did investigate. The DHS did investigate.
They did all this within like 60, 70 days, did they?
Yes.
Okay. And so, are you familiar with the
Okay.
Brunson case?
We're not going to let you walk off of this, by the way. Give me one
No, no, no.
second.
I'm just filling when you let your fingers do the walking. Filling time. Are you familiar with the Brunson case, 23
Well, it's up right now. It's
1073?
up right now. We can have the
The
conversation right
Brunson
now.
case?
No, the email. Okay, you
Mhm.
ready?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Let me put my glasses on because I'm old. Hold on. Hold on. Let me get my glasses. They're just a couple of feet away here.
Yep. But this is a quote from. You could see it's an
A
email
quote?
from Eastman John. This is his email. Oops. I don't need to email him. This is his
Let me
email.
ask you.
This is
No,
his
hold on. Wait,
email.
wait a
Wait,
minute.
hold
Wait a
on. No,
minute.
no, no,
Wait a
no.
minute.
What? Okay, what?
Is
What's
this
up?
is an email considered like official documents?
When it's sent from John Eastman's email?
No, I'm just
Yes.
asking. Are you sure? Because
Yes.
when I have communications with lawyers, they specifically have a thing on the bottom that says that this is not an official communication that can be used as evidence. So again,
Oh,
are you sure?
I have to drop you down after you apologize to me, by the way, because TikTok just flagged me. So I just want to make sure that this does say, from John Eastman to Greg Jacob, I implore you to consider one more relatively minor violation and adjourn for 10 days to allow the legislators to finish their investigations. Okay? So you were asking for
To
proof. There's
finish,
the proof. Can you approve? Can you apologize?
we'll make it bigger so people can actually read it.
It's very readable, okay? Can you
I
apologize to
can't
me?
read
Could
that.
you
No,
apologize to me?
nobody on your chat. Ask your chat if they can read that.
I could read it perfectly well. Okay, so can you apologize and say that he did
chat,
actually say minor violation?
chat? Can you read that? Yes,
The,
no.
the dishonesty is disgusting.
There you go. No. The answer is no.
We'll make it even bigger for you, okay? Oh, that's Trump's
Yeah,
face.
blow it up. You've highlighted that one sentence. Blow it
Uh-huh.
up.
I can't I can't I'm blow it's blowed up too much. The whole thing's off the screen. Jesus Christ.
One more. Yeah, one more. Wait. Where are you going?
I'm working on it, okay? One more
Says,
minor violation, right? Says, I implore you to consider one more relatively minor violation and adjourn for 10 days to allow the legislators to finish their investigations.
sure.
Okay, so do you
Yeah.
apologize for saying that he didn't call for a violation of the law?
I wasn't aware of that.
Well, when you
I
said I was
obviously.
lying, do you acknowledge that I wasn't lying and that was a direct characterization from John Eastman's mouth?
John Eastman, in my opinion,
Say, I need you to.
mistyped.
This conversation
Why do
goes
you do that?
nowhere.
That's
This
really weird.
conversation goes nowhere until you say John Eastman was asking Mike Pence's legal counsel to violate the ECA.
Yeah, and in that particular email, it appears that he was, but I don't believe that
Okay.
it's a violation. I think it's Congress's.
Disgusting. Disgusting dishonesty. I had to drop him, by the way, because of TikTok gave me a violation, so